I'm going to now give the floor over to Peter and allow him to give you his take on the influence of information technology in the future. Thank you, Peter.
Okay, so rather than, I mean, there's a statement that William Gibson made, the future is here, just not everybody knows about it. I'm often billed as a futurist, I see myself as a nowist, I just adopt new technologies quicker than. So I'm going to talk about social media. Now, I've been reading a book called You Are Not a Gadget, and it's almost like the antichrist of anti-social media. It's a tech head who is sort of talking about lock-in design decisions and how social media is going to be the end of the world. We hear all the journalists talking about how it's going to be the end of the world and you can't trust anything that people write on social media, notwithstanding I write a blog and they ring me up all the time and ask me what I think and they always misquote me. So I swear a bit too, so just an SBS warning if that offends you, leave now. And I was saying that's bullshit. The other thing is that this sort of notion that social media is creating these sort of meaningless relationships and it's all fluff, and you know, I go onto Twitter and I see people saying I had a cup of coffee, I went to the gym, I walked the dog. Well, or YouTube, you know, organisations ban YouTube, and I sort of say, you know, if you were in Egypt in the times of the Library of Alexandria, would have locked the doors and not let your staff go to it. It started off as the sort of collection of Australia's funniest home videos on steroids, but now it is the greatest and richest collection of how-to video stuff in the world. And if you want any historic videos, you want Martin Luther King's speech, you want to see Muhammad Ali give it to Sonny Liston, you want to see Armstrong walk on the moon, it's all there. But if you want to see people showing you how to do stuff, it's all there. So this sort of notion has become conventional wisdom that social media just creates these sort of loose networks of people and doesn't really add a lot. But the one thing I know as being part of the social media scene in Australia and particularly in Melbourne is I get invited to at least 3 to 4 social media get-togethers every day. These people who do social media stuff, they love to come together. So social media creates or it allows like-minded people to find each other, particularly things like Twitter, even in some cases Facebook. But what I then see is that it allows them to maintain a dialogue. It allows them to sort of collaborate and work together. And just to give an example of that, this morning we ran a session. Running an innovation theme at Deloitte this month called on data analytics. And to kick off the month, we ran a thing, a face-to-face meeting, and we brought in 2 of our guys who were data analytics experts and a guy called Richard Slater who used to work for me, who now runs MySpace and what people are playing, what people are commenting on Twitter, and are able to surface the top 99 songs that are just sort of coming out of nowhere. So we sort of look at that. So we all get together face to face and talk and we listen. And the whole idea of this month is we want your ideas. So we had a similar sort of thing. So we had a bit of a presentation. That's We Are Hunted up there. I don't know if you guys can see that. The cameraman probably can't. But again, it just sort of brings up 99 most popular emerging songs. There's Richard. I didn't have a good flash. So the guys do a panel. But then what happened next? So that's enough of PowerPoint. Let's go to the web. So we then said to people, we want your ideas. So we send them to the Deloitte Innovation Academy. And the Deloitte Innovation Academy is a place where people put in their ideas. So what we did this morning, get together, have lots of conversations, listen, collaborate, and then we go away and we say, over the course of the next month, we're going to have this theme opened. And let's just see what brilliant ideas have come in today. So somebody's put in, find the expert using our email data stream. So it'll come up in a sec. So find the expert. Oh, look, it's put in by me. Our email data stream is the most effective way of finding experts on any topic. We could use the Twendly software, which is a thing for Twitter heads. If you go to twendly.com, type in, I want to know somebody on interior design, it'll tell you the top 10 Twitters in the world on interior design. And people use Twitter now these days for almost their news feed. So you can find the best bloggers, the best tweeters on this stuff. And so we've had 3 comments. Jumps in. There's a lot of things you can do through text analysis. Look what Buster is working on with 750 words. Simon Townsend, this is a great idea. Email stream created by everyone should give a solid representation of their expertise. Because my sense is that in my organisation, the people who work, say, at National Bank the most are the ones who are going to have National Bank in their email data. The people who work on innovation the most are going to have innovation in their email stream. So rather than me sort of trying to work through an organisation to find who knows what, I've got this data asset there. Why don't I just whack a search-based application on it and just type in innovation, bang, it'll be me and Wes and a few others who come up. So the ability of sort of leveraging the data. But the point here is this is a social media tool. User-generated content. I put in what I think. We vote. We have votes. We don't have ratings. The reason we don't have ratings is that people never rate badly. So if you look at ratings on YouTube, 87% of ratings are 5 out of 5, 10% are 4, and then 1% for the rest. So what we found was using ratings doesn't work, but rationing with votes allows the best ideas to surface. So again, using social media tools and concepts to crowdsource ideas through people. So we have the face-to-face get-together. For people who couldn't be there, there was a back channel going on a thing called Yammer. So does anyone know what Yammer is? You poor unwashed people, a couple of gurus there. Where is Yammer? So Yammer is an internal Twitter. So again, here we go. So we just go in, share something with my followers. We have discussions. Morno Sweegers, hey, I can't wait to, been listening to We Are Hunted, can't wait for Friday's session because we're going to run a session in Sydney. Great information session ran by the innovation and data analytics guys. Check out what MySpace app they've done for We Are Hunted. I wonder when Pete Williams will integrate Twitter follower trust scores into his electronic verification product. You know, we just go down here and we're finding, just posted, you know, I posted the idea, Nicola Clark, this is great, I jumped on this thing. Make sure you post your thoughts and ideas on the idea zone. People, you know, Matt from Deloitte showing off his analysis of our Yammer network, and so this guy's taken a photo and put it up on YFrog, which is like a way of putting a picture out on Twitter. So this is a way that people who are there can be... Is anyone tweeting this? Are you tweeting this over there with the Mac? How tragic. Because with a normal audience, with a normal human being audience, what happens is we use a hashtag and we'd have #Schiavello, or Schiavello, sorry, and we would be commenting about what the speaker says. So you go to a place where there are Twitter heads, and while the presenter's presenting, everyone's typing away, blasting out to the world. This is what they're saying. This is what they're talking about. Do I agree with it? And it allows everyone else to find out what's going on. So fantastic tool. The beautiful part about Yammer is you can start up a Yammer network yourself in your organisation. We play with it with a small group, and then we decided we want to propagate it out of the network. So what has that got to do with anything? Well, we've been running for just over a year. I think we've got nearly our grads. We had a grad conference, they get together and they work in little study groups. They then set up a Yammer group so they can keep in touch. So social media is often the sort of result of being able to maintain these connections. But you can also see we tap into tacit knowledge. I didn't know about Buster or 750 words, but Ross Hill did. And he sees my idea and says, I can add to that. So we can collaborate in real time. They've got a new feature for community, so we can work with people outside our organisation and put snippets of information, and if we're working on a project, being able to say, hey, have you seen this? Hey, have you seen that? The way of surfacing knowledge and collaborating. But we did an interesting thing about 2 months ago. We took our employee records and we lined them up against our Yammer users. And what we found is people who use Yammer don't leave. So if you sort of then, so we step back from it, we think about it and we go, because what's happened is we've created a community here. We've created 213 groups of people working together. The people on Yammer feel they're part of something bigger. This smashes silos. You know, we talk about silos, but anybody from any group. So Mornay works in Sydney in consulting. Jonathan Zhuang is an information management specialist. Lorena Sid runs in the innovation program. They're all in different states. So suddenly like-minded people can come together and collaborate and they can share. The other thing is if you want to know something, ask the audience. So our CEO uses it to say, I'm going to do a State of a Nation presentation for you dudes. What do you want me to talk about? We're running Deloitte's massive on cultural diversity. So we're setting up, we want to name a program. 60 people put in their ideas for a name and we pick the best one out of that, and that's how it works. So this notion of using these social media tools to borrow people's brains for a minute, just lend us your brain and give us an idea, make a comment, share, but it doesn't take away from the face-to-face stuff. And from a workplace design point of view, what we're finding, we do a lot of innovation work inside organisations. Say the NAB, we ran 2 innovation cafes at the NAB, one in the old building, at 500 Burke, and one in the Docklands thing. In the Docklands thing, they've got this magnificent space for innovation, and the ideas we got out of that space were phenomenal. We then ran one at the 500 Burke, and it was in a sort of dark room and very corporate, oak-panelled walls, just not the same vibe. So we see that this notion of space and creativity and people coming together, absolutely crucial. So don't let anybody kid you saying that social media is just this sort of virtual world full of crap. It's people getting to know each other and sharing. The other thing is we talk about retention and we talk about talent for life. We know that people are going to churn through our organisation, but by managing tools like Facebook and using that to manage our alumni networks, it's a way we stay connected. The other thing that we do is we knew very early on in Facebook that something like 60% of our staff were using it before anybody sort of realised it. And our IT guys, of course, wanted to ban it. But we said, you know what? If 60% of people are using a technology that we didn't ask them to, we didn't have to train them on, and we didn't pay for, this is fantastic. So, then and then when Facebook opened up and said, hey, you can build apps on Facebook, I said to one of my guys, mate, go and build me a Facebook app. And he's like, well, what do you want me to build? I said, I don't give a shit as long as it's got nothing to do with Deloitte. He's like, well, why? I said, I just want to know how long and how easy it is and try and make money from it. Okay, so 3 hours later he came back, and he's an African guy, and he built an African charity thing called iRipple, where you could click on a thing, feed an African, give them water for 3 days, educate them, or do something else that you need to do with Africans. And then an ad comes up and you get a share of that revenue from the ads. We made 15 grand for this charity in the first 3 months. So what did we learn there? One, we can work out how to make money through the advertising rev share. It only takes us 2 to 3 hours to build a good app. Then the next app we built was a thing called Join Me at Deloitte, because we know that all of our staff who are sort of generally under 30, all of their mates are on Facebook, all their mates they went to uni are on Facebook, that's how they maintain connected. They're often moving around looking for a new job. We also know that if people come in referred by another employee, they get traction faster and they stay longer. So we now pay, if you come to Join Me at Deloitte, you click on Facebook, you get a job, staff member gets 4 grand, and we get a good employee. So again, it's the notion of sort of leveraging these platforms and relationships with people that makes it smart. And it cost us, I think, about 5 grand to do. So this stuff's pretty cheap. If we have a look at Twitter, so on Twitter, my name's Rexter, R-E-X-S-T-E-R. It's just in case you didn't get that. Rexter. One of my clients bought me a Rexter t-shirt because Peter Williams, the name was taken, it's too popular. And this is just a sort of interesting thing. So I'm tweeting out, Ross Hill says, are you following this? Pete Spence, who I'll talk about in a minute, is talking about various stuff there. I did a presentation to my wife's telling me that she loves me. Look at that. After seeing Rexter's performance at the Property Council SA lunch, I'm even more social mad, and many more to come. People tweeting about Rexter. So I can actually do a presentation and I can say, how did I go? This was a good one. Great work today, Pete, at the social media conference. It's just a fantastic way of tapping in, making connections, finding out what people are thinking about, promoting products here. So I've tweeted out, hey, I've just launched a new version of the Deloitte Leadership Academy, which is the business channel in Qantas aeroplanes and the leadership development thing we run online. It came into our innovation program, like the data analytics things, as deliver business education aeroplanes. Some people said we don't have any aeroplanes and we don't have any business education. It's like, who gives us stuff? We prototyped up something, we rang Harvard. Hey, you guys got some business education? Yeah. Stanford? Yeah. Qantas, look at this prototype we've got. Fantastic. And we have a $3 million business and bang, 5 minutes, cool. So using Twitter, the other thing is with Twitter, this notion of sort of finding stuff. I mean, if you want to find out what's going on in real time, the search on Twitter is probably the best thing you can use if you want to find out about knowledge. Because when people blog, they tweet out with a little link and say, oh, I just blogged this stuff. So this sort of fallacy of the 140 characters, again, absolute bullshit. you people, you know, so when I tweet out stuff, I'll whack a video on YouTube about a product I'm doing or something I've done, and then I tweet it out with a little link and say, go and have a look at this. So really, Twitter is a way of amplifying your message across the group. And again, what we do with Yammer is we do the same stuff in our own organisation. The other thing is that, you know, if you get sort of excited and run things like this, go to something like Justin TV or Livestream. So we broadcast and create our own TV channels when we're doing events like this. So for the people who aren't there, so we get people together physically, but then we create our own TV channel and broadcast it out on Livestream and let it persist. And this, I found out about this because one of my mates is a social media head who's in San Francisco at the moment. He went to the Future of Money conference and tweeted out to me and said, hey, you should have a look at some of this stuff, Rexter. The other thing that we do, because our social media heads love to get together, there's a website called Meetup. Do anyone know Meetup? Oh, God. Jesus. The workplace of the future, shit. It'll be full of abacuses and pencils. So what we do is we have a thing called the Creative Performance Exchange. So we get a heap of people who are sort of into creativity and excellent performance. It's convened by Pete Spence, who used to be the elite performance coach at the Victorian Institute of Sport. We had Ratu Besley, who's one of the great violinists of the world apparently, but uncultured guys like me didn't understand that, talking about flow. We've had Kathy Freeman talking about flow in sport. We get just a whole heap of weird-ass people. But the whole notion is that we run it all through this meetup group. It's sponsored by Deloitte, so we provide the premises to it, and it gives a place this is I think called Inspire 9, a little web company run by a mate of mine. And what he's done is a lot of the social media heads, the bloggerati, the Twitterati, they all work by themselves. But they actually want a physical space to go and work. So this guy's created a thing called drop-in desks, where this sort of notion of a co-working environment where these people can just turn up and say, I'm going to work here today. And that's how they do their creativity, their diversity, bouncing things off each other, because a lot of people in today's sort of workforce are often freelancers or working by themselves, but this sort of notion of I still want a place I can go. So the notion of the workplace of the future being some sort of virtual world like World of Warcraft is rubbish. The notion that social media is in somehow creating relationships that are meaningless or unimportant is rubbish. Social media allows like-minded people to find each other. It allows the best experts in the world to connect with people, hear a real voice, but they always want to get together. So back to the PowerPoint, is that a clink to say 5 minutes is up? Oh, that's all right. You'll live. The key messages. Make time, but also space to create creativity. Creativity in a virtual environment can work, but it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to bring people together. Social media doesn't keep people virtual, it brings them together. You know, this notion of all these events, all these things, these meetups. Go to have a look at meetup.com and you'll find all sorts of groups who are meeting up using social media as the way they get together. It keeps people in touch when they can't be together. So you meet some people at a conference, you create a little group or a list on Twitter and you keep thinking, you know, like you could do that here today if any of you use Twitter. But the other thing is it smashes silos. So the number of CEOs I've spoken to about, I can't break down the silos in my organisation, we rolled out Yammer, we did it as an experiment, it's gone through the organisation like a dose of Epsom salts, and seriously, we have not had a technology in our organisation that has done the creativity, the tacit knowledge, the knowledge keeping, the smashing of silos. So these tools, and the good news is we didn't have to talk to the IT guys because it's an online service, and we didn't spend a cent on change management. We just let it go, let it loose, and it drove itself forward. So happy to sort of discuss that after Shay has his go, but that's the message. So technology isn't going to replace the workplace, but it's how you bring it together in the workplace that's going to get massive outcomes for you. Thanks.
One of the things I heard there was with these tools that you can sustain contacts and interactions and networks and exchange of ideas beyond a physical meeting or something that's cut off by time and space. I think that's an interesting thing that we can come back to.